What if the fountain you choose could reveal the hidden wellspring of your creativity, the place where your ideas are born, where your imagination flows, where your soul drinks deep? Imagine standing in an ancient garden at dusk. The air is cool, the light is golden. Before you, 5 fountains rise from stone and shadow, each one flowing with its own rhythm, its own song. One of them calls to you. You don't know why. You just feel it. This isn't just a test. It's a doorway into the unconscious architecture of your creative mind. Carl Jung believed that symbols speak a language older than words, that when you're drawn to an image, a shape, a color, you're not choosing randomly. You're answering a call from deep within. Your psyche is showing you something mysterious, something powerful, something true. In a moment, you'll see 5 fountains, each one different, each one holding a secret about how creativity moves through you, where it comes from, what it needs, what it fears. Don't think too hard, don't analyze, just breathe, look, feel, and choose the fountain that stirs something inside you. Your choice won't be random. It's about intuition, projection, that mysterious connection between your inner world and the symbols that dance in the outer one. What you'll hear next might surprise you, maybe even shake you. Are you ready? Take a breath, clear your mind, look at these 5 fountains and notice which one your eyes return to.
Which one whispers your name? Fountain 1, the Minimalist Spring, a single smooth stone pillar. Water flows from a narrow opening at the top, falling in one perfect, unbroken stream. The stone is pale gray, clean, simple, no decoration, no flourish, just water, just stone, just gravity and grace. Fountain 2, the classical tiered fountain. 3 circular basins stacked upon each other, white marble, carved edges. Water cascades gently from tier to tier in an orderly descent. Balanced, symmetrical, elegant, timeless. It looks like it belongs in a European plaza, watched over by centuries. Fountain 3, the grand Baroque fountain. Lions, shells, vine-carved pillars. Water jets from multiple spouts, creating a symphony of streams that intersect and dance. The basin is wide, deep, ornate.
This fountain doesn't just flow, it performs, it celebrates, it commands attention. Fountain 4, the colorful Mosaic fountain. Turquoise tiles, golden accents, crimson patterns spiraling around the basin. Water bubbles up from the center and spills over the edges in playful, unpredictable streams. It gleams in the light, vibrant, alive, unique, handcrafted with love. Fountain 5, the dark mineral spring. Black volcanic rock, water emerging from deep within the earth, dark and mineral rich. The basin is rough, natural, ancient. Steam rises faintly. This fountain doesn't sparkle. It broods. It holds secrets. It flows from somewhere primal and forgotten. Now, which one pulled you? Hold that choice in your mind, because what you're about to discover goes deeper than you think. If you chose Fountain 1, the Minimalist Spring, listen carefully. At first glance, this fountain seems almost too simple. A stone, a stream, nothing more. But simplicity is not emptiness. Simplicity is clarity distilled. If this fountain drew your attention, deep inside you crave purity in your creative process. You don't need noise. You don't need chaos. You need space, silence, the freedom to hear your own thoughts without interference. Jung would call you the hermit archetype, the contemplator, the one who withdraws not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You know that creativity doesn't shout, it whispers, and you've learned to listen. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where there was too much, too much noise, too many voices, too many demands. And somewhere along the way, you discovered that your best ideas come when you strip everything else away, when you sit alone with a blank page, a quiet room, a single task. Your greatest strength lies in your focus. While others chase 100 directions, you choose one stream and follow it to its source. You don't waste energy, you don't scatter, you go deep, and that depth becomes your power. You create with intention. Every word, every brushstroke, every decision is deliberate. You don't add unless it serves the whole. You don't complicate unless complexity reveals truth. Your work carries a kind of elegance that others struggle to name. It feels inevitable, like it could be no other way. Yet there's something you may not realize. This need for simplicity, this hunger for solitude, sometimes becomes a fortress. Jung reminds us that every strength casts a shadow, and your shadow is the fear of contamination, the fear that if you let too much in, you'll lose yourself. In relationships, you likely seek partners who respect your need for space, who understand that your silence isn't rejection, it's renewal. But do you fear collaboration? Do you fear that other voices will muddy your vision? Can you allow yourself to be influenced without losing your center? This fountain whispers, you are the quiet source. You are the single stream. You are enough. But remember, even the simplest fountain needs the earth beneath it.
The rain that feeds it, the hands that carved the stone. You are not separate from the world. You are its distilled essence. If you chose Fountain 2, the classical tiered fountain, this is what your choice reveals. This fountain doesn't demand attention, it earns it. 3 tiers, perfect symmetry, water flowing in measured, graceful steps from one level to the next. Order, structure, timeless beauty. If this fountain called to you, you are the guardian archetype, the traditionalist, the one who understands that creativity isn't chaos, it's discipline made beautiful. You believe in foundations, in learning the rules before you break them, in mastering technique before you improvise. Perhaps you grew up valuing tradition, heritage, the wisdom of those who came before.
Or maybe life taught you that without structure, talent dissolves into nothing. Your greatest strength lies in your craftsmanship. You don't just create, you build, layer by layer, tier by tier. You understand that great work requires patience, practice, repetition. You honor process. You trust in incremental progress. And over time, that dedication produces something lasting. You create with reverence. Whether you're writing, painting, composing, or designing, you feel connected to a lineage. You're not trying to reinvent everything. You're trying to add one more beautiful tier to the fountain that's been flowing for centuries. People admire the consistency of your work, the reliability, the polish. You don't produce wild, erratic bursts of genius. You produce steady, excellent work that others can count on. But here's what most people miss. Jung would ask, whose structure are you serving? Is this order yours, or did you inherit it? Do you fear the chaos that lives beneath the tiers? In relationships, you likely seek stability, commitment, partners who build with you, not against you. But do you fear spontaneity? Do you fear that if you let the water flow wild, even for a moment, the entire fountain will collapse? This fountain whispers, you are the builder. You are the patient creator. You make beauty that endures. But remember, even the most classical fountains were once new, once daring, once a sculptor's wild idea. Don't let tradition become a cage. Let it be the foundation from which you leap. If you chose Fountain 3, the grand Baroque fountain, here is what lives inside you. Lions roaring water, shells cradling streams, vines carved into stone. This fountain doesn't just flow, it performs, it celebrates. It says, look at me, I am alive, I am glorious. If this fountain pulled you, you are the sovereign archetype, the protector of abundance, the one who believes creativity should overflow, should be generous, should fill every corner of the world with beauty and power. Deep inside, you crave bigness,
not for ego, for expression. You have so much inside you, so many ideas, so many visions, so many worlds waiting to be born, and a single stream feels like suffocation. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where you learned to take up space, where you were encouraged to shine, to perform, to be seen. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you grew up small and quiet, and creativity became your rebellion, your way of saying, "I will not be invisible." Your greatest strength lies in your generosity. You don't create for yourself alone. You create for others, for the joy of sharing, the thrill of giving, the pleasure of watching someone's face light up when they encounter your work. You are a fountain that feeds the garden. You create with exuberance. Your work is layered, detailed, rich. You don't hold back. You don't minimize. You throw everything you have onto the canvas, into the manuscript, into the song. And that fullness becomes magnetic. Yet there's something you may not realize. Jung would say that behind every grand performance is a fear of scarcity, a fear that if you stop flowing, if you stop giving, you'll be forgotten. That love is earned through abundance. In relationships, you likely seek admirers, partners who celebrate you, who encourage your bigness.
Your worth flows whether anyone is watching or not. If you chose Fountain 4, the colorful mosaic fountain, this is your creative soul speaking. Turquoise, gold, crimson, cobalt. This fountain doesn't follow rules. It doesn't care about symmetry or tradition. It dances, it plays, it shimmers with handmade love and deliberate imperfection. If this fountain chose you, you are the eternal child archetype. The creator who never lost wonder, the one who believes that creativity is magic, play, joy made visible. Deep inside, you crave authenticity, uniqueness. You don't want to make what everyone else makes. You want to make something that could only come from you, something that carries your fingerprints, your heartbeat, your specific strange light. Perhaps you grew up feeling different, feeling like you didn't quite fit into the tidy categories the world offered. And instead of trying to squeeze yourself into those boxes, you built your own world, a world of color, a world of imagination, a world where the rules are yours to make. Your greatest strength lies in your originality. You don't copy, you don't follow trends. You listen to the voice inside that says, what if we tried this? What if we mixed that? What if we made something no one has ever seen before? And that willingness to experiment becomes your signature. You create with joy. Your work feels alive, spontaneous, infused with personality. People don't just admire it, they feel you in it. They sense the playfulness, the courage, the refusal to be tamed. But here's what Jung would caution. The eternal child's shadow is the fear of being ordinary. The fear that if you create something simple, something traditional, something expected, you'll disappear, that your worth is tied to your uniqueness. In relationships, you likely seek kindred spirits, people who see your colors and celebrate them. But do you fear commitment? Do you fear that consistency means losing your spark? Can you honor routine without feeling trapped? This fountain whispers, you are the artist who paints outside the lines. You are the song no one expected. You are irreplaceable. But remember, even the most colorful fountain is made of the same water as all the others. Your uniqueness doesn't separate you from humanity.
It connects you more deeply. If you chose Fountain 5, the dark mineral spring, you carry something rare. Black volcanic rock. Water so dark it looks like it flows from the underworld. Steam rising. Ancient, primal. This fountain doesn't charm. It confronts. It asks you to look into the depths. If this fountain called to you, you are the warrior of the shadow, the one who creates from pain, from mystery, from the places most people won't go. Jung believed the shadow holds not just our wounds, but our greatest power. And you know this. Deep inside, you crave truth, raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable truth. You don't want pretty creativity. You want creativity that cuts, that heals, that transforms. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where darkness wasn't abstract.
Where you learned early that life is hard, that people carry hidden things, that beauty and suffering are twins. And somewhere along the way, you stopped fearing the dark. You learned to work with it. Your greatest strength lies in your depth. While others create for comfort, you create for catharsis, for understanding, for the kind of art that makes people feel less alone in their own darkness. You're not afraid to explore grief, rage, fear, longing. You dive where others tiptoe. You create with honesty. Your work doesn't lie. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't offer false hope. And that courage, they feel permission. Permission to be complex, to be broken and whole at once.
Yet there's something you may not realize. The shadow's danger is that it becomes your only home. Jung would ask, do you fear the light? Do you fear that if you create something joyful, something bright, you'll lose your edge, your identity? In relationships, you likely seek depth immediately. Small talk feels like betrayal. You want partners who can handle your intensity, who won't ask you to pretend everything is fine. But do you fear being seen in your lightness? Do you fear that vulnerability means showing not just your pain, but your hope? This fountain whispers, you are the alchemist. You are the one who turns lead into gold, wound into wisdom. You are braver than you know. But remember, even the darkest spring reflects the sky. You contain multitudes. You are allowed to create from joy, from play, from lightness. The shadow is part of you, not all of you. 5 fountains, 5 sources, 5 ways that creativity moves through a human soul. If you chose the minimalist spring, you create from clarity and solitude. If you chose the classical tiered fountain, you create from discipline and tradition. If you chose the grand Baroque fountain, you create from abundance and generosity. If you chose the colorful Mosaic fountain, you create from authenticity and play. If you chose the dark mineral spring, you create from depth and transformation. But here's the truth Jung spent his life teaching. Your choice wasn't random.
It was a reminder, a whisper from your unconscious, a recognition of the pattern you've been living, the source you've been drinking from, the fountain that's been flowing inside you all along. And once you see it, you can choose. You can honor it. You can work with it instead of against it. You can stop judging your creative process and start trusting it. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So let this be a moment of consciousness, a moment where you see your creative source clearly, where you honor how your imagination works, what it needs, what it fears, what it offers the world. Maybe you recognized yourself completely.
Maybe you saw pieces of yourself in multiple fountains. That's okay. You're allowed to be complex, to flow in different ways at different times. Take a moment, reflect. Ask yourself, how does this fountain show up in my creative life? What does it need from me? What has it been trying to tell me? And if you feel moved, share your choice in the comments. Tell your story. Tell us which fountain called to you and why. Because when we share our creative sources, we remind each other that we're not alone, that every artist, every creator, every human trying to make something beautiful is drinking from their own unique spring. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive. Keep your fountain flowing.
Keep creating from the source that is yours and yours alone. The water is waiting.